In this video, we're going to look at creating and managing time cards from a user's perspective. Time cards can be managed in bulk for both the studio and per job in other views, and we'll cover that in a separate video. As a user, to create an individual time card, click on the time card icon at the top of the NIM toolbar. This will bring out our time card panel where we can see selected dates that already have pre-existing time cards. Clicking on those dates will show us a summary of the daily total time. Hovering over the chart will show us the total regular time, overtime, as well as double time logged for that day. If the time cards were submitted, they would be color-coded here in this ring. Currently, we have 3 not submitted time cards. And we can see each of the individual time cards with their time, assignment, time type, and submission status. Clicking on a time card will take us into that time card for further details. To create a new time card, click on the day that you wish to create a time card for. By default, the current day will be selected. To add a new time card on the selected day, click the Add Time Card button. A new time card will be created. Information from the last time card created will be automatically populated in the time card. If the thing you did today was the same thing you did yesterday, simply click Save and your time card is complete. In this case, I wish to edit my start time to 9 a.m. Here you can see my regular time and overtime hours adjusted according to my personal rate rules. Users have thresholds at which overtime and double time kick in at dependent upon which rate rule is applied to them. Additionally, users can be using payroll-based rules, which are a set of conditions and terms that define when overtime or double time would kick in over the course of an entire pay period. If I need to manually adjust my overtime and double time, I can click on the down arrow and expand my regular time, overtime, or double time amounts. In this case, if I actually want to add 1 hour of double time, I can add 1 hour, and now I have 2 hours of OT and 1 hour of double time. And we can also see this reflected in my daily total. Now, the ability to manually modify overtime and double time is only available when users are using the hourly, day rate, or fixed rate types. When users have their rate type set to payroll rules, the overtime and double time is automatically calculated over the course of the pay period and not per time card. Click the Modify OTDT bar to collapse those settings. Now I can choose my assignment. Again, the assignment selected is based off the last time card I've entered. But clicking on the assignment, I can reset my selection here, and I will see a list of all tasks that have been assigned to me. I can select a task that has been assigned to me, or I can choose individual jobs that I've been assigned to. In this case, I can choose my demo job here, and I can further filter by additional tasks, and I can see the 2 modeling tasks that have been assigned to me, and I can select one and hit OK. Now I can enter an additional description, as well as choose a location for where this work was completed. One other item to note is the time type. By default, all time cards start as a standard time type. Studios can define different time types that are billable or non-billable as indicated by this gray icon here. In our case, we have defined sick time, PTO, admin, as well as unpaid leave. Currently, we're going to leave this as standard time. Clicking Save, I can see that my time card has been created, and I have the additional option to submit my time card. So I can choose Submit, and I can submit my time card to any user who is allowed to approve time cards. Clicking Submit will automatically send an email to that user notifying them that there are new time cards that have been submitted to them for review, and it will appear in their approval section. Now, if I click the arrow to the left here, I go back and I can see my day, and if I want to add an additional time card on this day, I just hit Add Time Card again. Let's say I want to add a conference call that happened later in the day. Maybe it was from 6 to 7, and it was not a part of any job, so we can actually remove the job. You do not have to attach a job to a time card or even a task type. Time can be applied directly to the studio. The value of selecting a job or a task or even a task type is that that information will trickle through over to the job actuals. Now clicking Save, everything is set up as needed, and I can see that this time has also been allocated to my daily total. Clicking Save, I'm going to go ahead and go back, And now I can see for this day, I have 2 individual time cards. Again, I can step into the time card to see the details. I can go back in and edit them as needed. Or I can step back and see my daily total. So I have 7 regular hours, 3 overtime hours, and 1 double time hour. I can also see that 1 out of 2 time cards has been submitted for approval. If the user was using payroll rules, this indicator here would be lit up to help the user understand why they wouldn't be able to manually modify overtime and double time. Now, this is great for time card entry, but if you want to manage your time cards or see them as a whole, go over to the user section and click on time cards. Here, we see a calendar of all of the time cards that have been created. Here are the 2 we just made. So first I can see that this time card has been submitted by this orange indicator here. And I can click on it and see the time card. And again, I could edit that time card, delete it if needed. You can also close the panel by choosing the close option. Or I can click on my other time card here and see the details for that one as well. So this is a quick way just to manually modify and view your time cards. Now, let's say I needed to adjust the hours on this conference call. I can step into either the week view or the day view and see all of the hours individually. And now I can grab this and actually move it around. So we're going to go ahead and extend this call to 4 p.m. and maybe it actually lasted till 7:30. Now stepping it back into my week, I could move this in here individually if I needed to. And then in my month view, I see that now this conference call has been extended to 4 hours and my daily total has been adjusted. We also have a filter at the top here to determine which time cards we're looking at, and we can filter by not submitted, submitted, approved, disputed, or resolved. In this case, if I wanted to just see which time cards have been submitted, I can click on the submitted button and it will show me just those submitted time cards. I'll go ahead and change that back to all time cards. Now, in our time cards list, this is the full grid of information for all of our time cards. In here, we can filter by individual dates. We can filter time cards by their approval status. In this case, if I wanted to see all of my approved time cards, I can choose so by the dropdown here and see that they have been marked in green. We can also filter by individual jobs. So for example, if I wanted to see this Guardian job here, I can filter by the job name Guardian and see all of the time cards associated with that. I can clear that out, or we can also use the column filters to filter for, say, a specific task, anyone related to this A1 shot. And now I can see all of those individual time cards there. I can resize this to drag that out for better view. And I can see my time in, time out, break time, total hours, regular time, overtime, double time, as well as any non-billable hours. Clicking on any one of these rows will bring up that time card again, so you can make the same modifications as needed by coming up to the ellipsis menu and clicking Edit. In this case so far, we've been looking at time cards in terms of time in, time out. However, there is a global option in NIM to allow single hour entry. So for example, instead of setting time in and time out for 2 hours here, there is an option to enter just a block 2 hours without specific values. That is a studio-wide setting that is available from the Admin Time Cards menu. Now, in addition to filtering and viewing and editing your time cards here, you can also add time cards by clicking Add Time Card, and that will create a new time card. And in this case, you would go through and select the specific date for your time card, as well as enter the additional time card information. Now, I can also create time cards for a range of dates. So in this case, I can select a future date and choose time to enter over the course of a week. I can additionally exclude Saturdays and Sundays if I'm spanning multiple weeks and I want to exclude weekends, for example. I can now enter my time card information and choose Save, and it'll create those time cards over the range of days. Now, if we wanted to edit these time cards, I can actually multi-select these time cards and choose Edit, and then only modified fields will be updated. So instead of a conference call, if we wanted to just set this as admin hours, I can do that and hit Save, and now all of these time cards will be set to use admin. The same menu can be used to submit batches of time cards for approval, and there's multiple ways to do that. First, we can multi-select our time cards, and I can choose Submit Timecards. This allows us to choose our selected timecards, and again, I could submit that to the user. It's got to remember the last user I submitted it to. I can submit timecards based off of date range, and by choosing that range, I can see what timecards actually fall within that range. And then I can also submit timecards for a particular pay period. And by selecting the date, I can see those timecards that fall within that pay period that have not been previously submitted. Choosing Submit will now submit that timecard. The user will receive a notification, and those timecards now have been highlighted. And lastly, from this view, we can export all of our timecards to Excel. Now, any filtering that you do apply to the grid will apply to that Excel export. So you can pare this down to only export certain items that you want, or if you choose Export to Excel, it will export all of your timecard records. And that is an overview of working with user timecards in NIM. For more information, please refer to the NIM documentation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to support@nim-labs.com. Thank you.